is I've taken a handful of questions I've gotten from you guys regarding Phase 4, specifically the cosmic side of Phase 4 and the space side of Phase 4. And I'm saying Phase 4 because that's easier and everyone knows what I'm talking about, but cosmic and space-based films going forward. So we're going to talk a bit about which new cosmic characters and villains will be introduced in Phase 4 and how the different cosmic MCU films will connect to each other through a larger overarching narrative. If you are a fan of Marvel and the MCU, don't forget to subscribe, as that is what we talk about here. And if you are new or already subscribed, be sure to click the bell and click these settings to always notify. That way you are actually notified when new videos come out. Okay, so let's off. The cosmic MCU will be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which has been reported to hit theaters the first week of May 2020. But Marvel Studios producer Brad Winderbaum has said that the overarching narrative that will play its long-standing cosmic protectors. In Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok, both Odin and the Ancient One died off, and they were both very well-known
We must be ready.
We'll be ready.
And then, of course, there's Odin, who is a very, very well-known and feared character throughout the entire Marvel Universe. And as the king of Asgard, he was also the tree to forge the gauntlet on Nidavellir, which was under Asgard's protection. And it was kind of the same thing with the Ancient One, who was now gone and was no longer in Thanos' way of getting the Time Stone. But even after Thanos is presumably defeated and a chance to strike just like Thanos did. And it's not just Odin and the Ancient One who are now gone. In Infinity War, Thor tells the Guardians that Thanos decimated Xandar and the Nova Corps in order to retrieve the Power Stone. And Vel, who was also a sort of cosmic protector type figure in the universe and will play a mentor to Carol Danvers. And in the 1980s run of the Captain Marvel comics, Mar-Vell died, and it's been reported that he was well known, but they are still kind of green and not as feared or quite as famous throughout the universe as their predecessors. For example, Thor is now king of Asgard after Mar-Vell, and Earth being vulnerable to cosmic threats could also lead to the official formation of the Illuminati in Avengers 4 or possibly Avengers 5. And at Comic-Con Brazil, Kevin Feige did say that Avengers 5 would likely be studios have been discussing plans for a possible future Nova movie. Specifically a Richard Rider Nova movie, not the more recent Sam Alexander from the comics, which is good news in my opinion. However, with Nova, there's a good chance that he will be introduced. So yeah, anyways, let's talk a little bit about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and what we know so far. And according to director James, James was working on the script. He said on Twitter that Gamora would also have a very important role in the movie. So it'll be interesting to see if that's still the case after what happened to Gamora in Infinity War. We also know that Rocket will expand the MCU cosmic universe, and with setting up the cosmic universe, he also confirmed that Guardians Volume 3 will introduce several new characters. And Elizabeth Debicki has been confirmed to be returning as Aisha. Seems, 99% certain that Adam Warlock will be introduced in Guardians Volume 3. And then we've already talked about the possibility of Nova being introduced, but then James also hinted on Twitter a few months back at the possibility of... Kevin Feige said that Rocket's origins will be similar to his origins from the comics, but with some key details changed. And he also said that his origins will be much, much darker than in the comics.
All right, no one's laughing at you.
Herman! She called me rodent!
So besides that little bit of information right there, we also know that in the MCU, Rocket, because basically what it was is a group of alien psychiatrists known as the Shrinks settled a planet called Half-World. And there they built these helper robots who eventually became sentient. And the robots then experimented on the various animal character, and most likely it will be a character from the comics that we will know. And with Guardians Volume 3 also likely introducing Adam Warlock, I think there is a strong possibility that in the MCU, Rocket's creator will turn out to be in his basement. Then later, when he was a bit older as a student at Oxford, he created a serum that gave him the ability to perform genetic modifications. And again, this is all a very condensed version of the High Evolutionary's backstory. So animals into a humanoid animal form with accelerated intelligence, which is very similar to what Rocket is. And eventually he left to explore space, and during a genetic experiment gone wrong, his own genetics were evolved by a Rocket's origin story for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This could even be the role that Mark Hamill has been in talks with Marvel Studios about playing. And something else about the High Evolutionary is that he was directly connected to Adam Warlock's evolution in the comics. 3, they could spin that to connect with Adam Warlock's story and use it to further Adam's character development for future Marvel films after Guardians Volume 3, because I assume that Adam Warlock is going to be a huge they are working on is an Eternals movie. And some of the groundwork for this was set up in Infinity War when we saw the remains of Thanos' homeworld of Titan, which was home to the Eternals. And the Eternals were created by and Chris Hemsworth and Taika Waititi have been very open about wanting to do a 4th Thor movie which would continue the Ragnarok storyline. Will take place in different time periods, and that many of them will take place in the current MCU timeline, but that some of them could take place in the future, but more importantly in the past, similar to how Captain America the First Avenger was set origin story, which would somewhat follow Kirby's early Eternals comics. And in that we could see the creation of the Eternals, and maybe the Deviants, at the hands of the Celestials, which would give the MCU the opportunity to explore the backstory of the cosmic universe and how the Celestials came into being and what the Celestials are and how they created the Eternals and what their role is in the universe. Stuff that is in the comics but hasn't really fit anywhere in. So writer and director Jay Chandrasekhar, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his last name, has been in talks with Marvel Studios recently to presumably direct a future film, or possibly direct a future film. And he is as a possible director for the Eternals movie. And I kind of have mixed feelings on this because while Super Troopers is hilarious, I don't want the Eternals movie to be an all-out comedy like Thor Ragnarok was. And I loved Thor Ragnarok. That's just not really in TV and some small films, and it was pretty much all comedy. So he could be a great choice, and we just don't know it yet. And then it's also been rumored that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will introduce actual Eternal characters, which sounds like like the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. So it would make sense that Marvel Studios would want to set the Eternals up and introduce them to casual fans in advance to kind of build up that hype, and so casual fans would know who they are. And with the MCU... Anyways, that's it. I just wanted to jump in real quick because I recorded this audio when I was out of town, and then there was some other stuff I wanted to talk about, so yeah. Anyways, I will take you back now to a new Avengers 4 playlist that is linked at the top of the description below, as well as a bunch of other recent video links. And besides that, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell so you are notified of new videos. Also, you can hit me up on Twitter with your